I met a girl through Plenty of Fish and dated her for a year. She lived 6 minutes up the street from me, so we saw each other quite often. Both of us were quite introverted, so we mainly only hung out with each other. We both considered the relationship to be serious and exclusive. Anyways, right from the start of the relationship, I noticed that she would text this one guy pretty frequently. I asked her about him, and she told me that he was her tattoo artist. Just to be snoopy, I checked out the website of the place she gets her tattoos done. Sure enough, there was a tattoo artist there with the same first name as the guy in her phone. But the last name was different. I asked her about it, and she quickly called me out for being paranoid, and how it was ridiculous to think that she would lie to me. I agreed, it was pretty paranoid of me. Maybe 5 months later into the relationship, I'm on Facebook and I decide to search the name of the guy in her phone. Profile comes up in the same small city we both live in, but there's no profile picture or anything. I decide to bring it up with her again because now there is 2 Facebook profiles. One who is actually the tattoo artist and one who has the same name that is in her phone. She freaks out on me bringing it up again and tells me that I'm crazy. I agreed but just wanted a straight answer. She told me I had nothing to worry about and I apologized and we got over it. I downloaded the app again to see if she was on there. Lo and behold, she was. She was out there looking for another guy. I found a profile on the app that might look like hers, but obviously no pictures. I catfished it and it turned out to be her. She was back on Plenty of Fish and looking for guys. I had all the evidence I needed and I was going to confront her with it and break up with her. However, I thought if I'm going to break up with her, I'm going to message the Facebook profile I had found that matched the name of the guy in her phone. He gets back to me immediately. We converse and it turns out that he is her boyfriend. I had been her second boyfriend the entire time. She met him 2 months before she met me. She bounced back between me and him for an entire year. Neither me or him knew about each other. He saw my name in her phone once and she said that I was her tattoo artist. The same excuse she gave me about him. Every time I ever called her out, I was right. Every time she was gone mysteriously at night, she was with him. Every time she said she was hanging out with a friend of hers, she was with him. She didn't actually have any friends. It was always him. So we did what anyone would do. The next morning, we both met her together. Of course, her jaw dropped and we dumped her simultaneously. After that, we went and got a beer together. She played both of us. And whenever my gut feeling told me something was wrong, she gaslighted me and tried to make me look crazy. I was engaged to the love of my life, but my sister met up with me and begged me to break it off. She said I had to leave him because they were in love. And he was just too afraid to break up with me because he didn't want to hurt me or my family. When I confronted my fiancé about my stepsister's accusations, he straight up denied him. He said she's been trying to come on to him for some time and he never mentioned it because he didn't want to ruin our relationship. He begged me not to believe her and so we continued how we were. My stepsister grew resentful and made nasty comments about how I was forcing a man who didn't even love me to marry me because I had low self-esteem. A month later, I get a text from my sister. It's a video of her and my fiancé sleeping together in my bed and multiple screenshots of him telling her he loved her, how he wished she was the girl he was marrying and how he hated that I wouldn't let them be together. I was devastated and angry but decided to move in silence. I went home, grabbed all my stuff, removed all my money from my joint account, and moved in with my dad. After that, I sent all the screenshots to my family and his. He tried getting back with me multiple times, but I ended up blocking him when I found out he proposed to my sister with the same ring he gave me. I left it behind. Now, they're getting married. I was extremely hurt to find out that my mom, step-siblings, and stepdad were attending the wedding. When I tried to express my feelings, they dismissed me and said it wasn't their fault that I got in the way of true love and made me out to be some sort of vindictive Disney villain. So I cut contact with them and I barely spoke to my mom in 5 years. Fast forward and I get engaged to my now husband. Due to COVID, we had a small ceremony and I also fell pregnant. My dad and stepmom have been amazing throughout all of this. She knitted a pair of booties and posted them on Facebook and tagged me about how she's excited for her grandbaby. My mom didn't know I was pregnant. Shortly after, I received a phone call to confirm. Since then, she's invited me and my husband over to her house multiple times. I've declined every single time for the obvious reason. My ex-fiancé and stepsister live there. The next time my mom called, I told her I didn't want them to keep inviting me over when they knew I would be forced to see my stepsister. I'm still hurt over what they did to me, and I told her I wasn't sure if I wanted people like them in my child's life. My mom was crying hysterically and kept saying I was being cruel and I couldn't deprive her of her first grandchild. She kept wailing about how I might be the only person in our family to even give her grandchildren. Am I wrong for trying to keep my mom out of my child's life? For most of my life, my sister has been wanting kids, but has been unable to carry a baby to full term in part due to endometriosis. She was in a lot of pain and had to have a hysterectomy. My sister and her husband have fostered 5 children and have adopted 2 children with autism and are great parents. They have a good home environment and are financially very well off. But they've had the urge to have a kid biologically related to them. So they asked me to be their surrogate and said that they would cover all costs associated with it. They would also be paying off my student debt, renting a 2-bedroom apartment for 3 years, plus giving me a substantial amount of cash. I said sure, it'll be 9 months of my life in exchange for being set up for quite some time, and my immediate family thinks it's a great idea. However, when I said sure, I was expecting to get the whole artificial insemination package. But my sister and brother-in-law have asked me to get pregnant the traditional way. The rationale is that 1, it's the cheapest way, 2, they don't have to go to the hospital given the corona pandemic, and 3, babies conceived naturally are healthier and the pregnancy would be safer. Am I going loony for thinking of going back on my word? Is their request reasonable? On the other hand, if I do give this up, I'm also passing up essentially $200,000. I've been 100% financially independent from my parents since the day I graduated college. I have a sister who is about a decade older than me, and my parents promised each of us a set amount of money towards our weddings. My sister used this money to have a big, beautiful wedding, and now it's my turn to get married. But my parents have admitted that they gave away the money they had saved for my wedding to my sister. My sister, a mother of one, had a series of health problems and had to freeze her eggs if she ever wanted to have another child. She didn't have the money and only had a few weeks before her hysterectomy, so she asked my parents for the $13,000, which they obviously gave her. I know I sound selfish for prioritizing my wedding over her fertility, but she was 36 when she got the diagnosis. There was no telling how long it would take for her health to recover, and it would be years before they could even afford supporting another infant. I knew she would never have the means to use those eggs before she was 40, and she has made it very clear that she wouldn't want to have an infant at that age. In my opinion, she acted in panic and wanted a safety net that she knew she would never use. But I'm still upset that now I won't be able to have much of a wedding because I've been counting on the funds my parents had promised. I'm not upset that they gave it to her, but I am upset that they gave it to her knowing nothing would come of it. They traded my wedding day for her brief peace of mind. So, am I overreacting? Am I the asshole? My cousin in high school recently turned 18. She doesn't have a car, and during her birthday weekend, thought her parents were going to buy her one. When they didn't, she was pretty upset. I should note that I'm not very close with my cousin or the rest of my extended family for that matter. Anyways, my cousin texted me on the Friday before her birthday asking if she could take my car to the mall and then for an out-of-town road trip with her friends over the weekend. I tell her no. She begs and pleads with me, but I tell her no again. My car is for me to drive and for me only. If she wants her own car, she can save up and buy one. She calls me a bitch and says that I ruined her birthday and that she's embarrassed because her friends think she got a car for her birthday and she doesn't have one. I don't respond to her and think nothing of it. I wake up on Saturday morning to find that my car has been egg and TP'd. And since the weather was warm outside, the raw egg baked into my car along with the dried up toilet paper destroying the paint. I check my security cameras and I find my cousin and a bunch of her stupid friends vandalizing my car. I obviously press charges and my cousin is in legal trouble. Her and her parents are pissed off at me for pressing charges, saying she's just a kid and she's going through a phase. Saying things like I'm almost 30 and I don't remember what it was like at that age. Do you think I took it too far by pressing charges on her? I'm a senior in high school and I have a stepsister who is the same age as me. My mom and her dad have been married since we were 10. We both started school again yesterday. A couple of hours into my online class, my mom comes to my room to talk to me. She said that since I have more than enough money to put myself through college, how would I feel about sharing some of that money with my stepsister who does not have enough money? I lost my paternal grandparents 3 years after I lost my dad, so I inherited a lump sum of money. My mom and stepdad had saved some money, but a few crappy things happened to our house, so now apparently there's not enough for my stepsister to go to college. But I don't feel responsible to put her through college. I also don't feel like my paternal relative's money that's now mine should be used for her. She was nothing to them, and if we're being real, we have no relationship beyond living in the same house either. I told my mom no. She said she was disappointed in me. Later on that night, my mom and her husband pulled me into the kitchen to discuss some things. They told me I'm being selfish and that she's my sister. I said even if she is my sister, it's not my job to help her through college, and that's my money, and it will not be used for something I do not approve of. Apparently, I'm the asshole for refusing, according to them. So it got me thinking, should I help my stepsister out? I'm currently 2 months pregnant, but my mother-in-law has clearly stated she is not happy for me and hates that I'm pregnant. She's been coming over a lot to cook for us, but I haven't been eating her food. Not because I don't like it, I'm just in a lot of pain and very nauseous, but she's always complaining about it. I've been taking a lot of vitamins for my pregnancy, and when my mother-in-law asked, I didn't think much of it. This past Sunday, she came into our house and stayed for hours. Everywhere I go, I see her looking for something. I ask what she's looking for, but she doesn't say what, so I walk away and give her privacy. The past few days, I've had really bad abdominal pain, upset stomach, headache, and nausea. So when I called my doctor, she asked if I was taking anything, and I said yes, vitamins. She asked me to bring them in. That's when she told me it wasn't vitamins, it was actually aspirin. I knew right away my mother-in-law was the one who switched them out. I can't believe it. My mother-in-law made me feel so sick, and I almost miscarried if I didn't go see a doctor. I told my husband, and he confronted his mom. She completely denied it and said she would never do anything to harm her unborn grandbaby. It's so clear that she replaced my vitamins and she's lying about it. I'm so upset and I feel like I'm not being safe with her. I have no trust and I want her out of my life. But my husband says we have no proof. My boyfriend and I went to his sister's wedding last Friday. They've always had a strained relationship, but overall it was a great wedding. We were enjoying the party when my boyfriend goes up to the DJ and asks for the microphone. I thought he was going to do a toast for his sister, but no. He asked me to come up to him and I was terrified. I remember thinking to myself, he is not going to do that. No way. I take a quick glance at the bride and she is furious. He then proceeds to propose to me at his sister's wedding. Everyone was cheering for us, but his sister just looked like she wanted to cry. I didn't know what else to do other than say yes. I was crying, but not happy crying. After that, I went up to his sister and was apologizing over and over. She was livid. I felt so sorry for her. I left early and my boyfriend came back to the hotel room at 2 a.m. hammered. And so I decided to confront him. At first he was like, babe, my whole family was there and it was the best time. Until he finally admitted that he did it because his sister had ruined his graduation by announcing her wedding. He used my proposal to get back at his sister. I left the morning after and haven't talked to him since. I don't know what to do. He won't stop calling, but I'm overwhelmed with emotion. When I graduated high school, I met a guy who was a refugee from the Middle East. We ended up dating, but I found out he was cheating on me, so I broke up with him. Later on, I found out I was pregnant. When I told him, he freaked out and wanted me to get an abortion, and when I told him no, he said he'd do everything in his power to make sure I lost the baby. Once he figured out I was keeping the baby, he tried his best to get back with me, but I denied him. That's when I found out that the girl he was cheating on me with also got pregnant. When I tried reaching out to her, she called me crazy. I just wanted to warn her to make sure she's okay. Over the years, he kept trying to come back for me and the baby, but I kept him at a distance. His other girlfriend reached out to me and told me he went to jail because he put hands on her. I tried to warn the girl that he cheated on me with that he was no good, but it wasn't until her third child that she finally saw his true darkness. She regrets meeting him and not listening to me, but then we found out he's engaged to someone back in his home country. We both tried reaching out to her, but she didn't want to hear any of it. We tried to tell her that he has 4 kids, 1 with me and 3 with someone else, but she didn't believe us. I know I've done my part for reaching out, but I still feel really bad for this girl and what her future entails. I don't know what I should do.